are the stories of people dying on the operating table, seeing heaven and coming back real. We'll use this for our last question. I learned a long time ago to be very careful about judging things that I cannot fully understand or know about. If I can't collect all the evidence, I'm not going to make a decision on it. Or be careful. I do. I'm too quick to do that. So I'm trying to always do this. And this is something that I don't think that we can fully understand. And there are a lot of speculation over these near-death experiences and what it is all about. I mean, I've read some pretty good books by incredible people, and there seems to be a universality of the experience of so many different people and what they have gone through and the seeing of the bright light and all that kind of stuff. Even with children that are too young to have been aware of these things prior, that it's hard to discount that this was an experience that people actually had. And in some cases, it was even after brainwave activity had stopped altogether, and they say there's just no scientific way we can understand how a vision like that could have been formed or a dream like that could have been formed. So we don't know how that could be other than it being a real experience. So I'm certainly not going to discount it. It could be, and as some scientists have also said, that because of the brain being depleted of oxygen, and during that time we don't fully know how it's all happening, but because we have similar brains, we have similar experiences that are taking place. Again, I can't make a final decision, but here's the thing, is the Bible doesn't actually tell us. It doesn't. It could be that we know that more people than not are going to wind up being ultimately condemned. Jesus said that the road to him is narrow, and it's a broad way that's going to lead to destruction. It could be that this seeing is as an approaching of him as the judge, and that's a beautiful experience until those that had never responded to God's grace are peeled away from him in condemnation, and it may very quickly become what they saw as a beautiful, wonderful thing to being a horrible thing. And there have been some other reported visions of people feeling like they're experiencing hell as well. But again, it's just not something we can say. What we do understand from the scriptures, in 1 Corinthians 5:8, Paul said to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So when we leave this body, we are in his presence. Jesus said to the thief on the cross, "Today you will be with me in paradise." And so it's hard. It's hard to believe that if death from God's perspective had occurred, other than the very rare exceptions that he proclaimed would happen because of Jesus being resurrected from the dead. That's why it was such a unique event. And where Jesus himself brought Lazarus back from the dead. It's hard for me to believe that verse saying that we're in God's presence and then taken back away from that presence to come back into this lifetime. But I can't make a final judgment on that, and we just don't know all of the information, and maybe as time goes on we'll get more and more information on it. But instead, as Christians, what we need to do is we need to focus on what we do know. Because the Bible does say heaven is real, and in the afterlife, whether it is rejoined with our Creator or condemned forever, in that afterlife, that will be more real than what you and I are experiencing today. And that is coming for all of us. We're all going to experience death someday. So while it might be intriguing to talk about some of these things that we don't know all about, it's way more valuable to focus on what we do know. And here's what we do know. That God loves every single one of you, and he created you on purpose. And you, in a unique way, for how he has fashioned you as a man or a woman with whatever passions or gifts that you have, in a unique way can bring pleasure, honor, and glory to him like nobody else can. He created you for that purpose. But you have a sin problem that has cut yourself off from him, and you can't fully experience his love until you're reconnected. And that reconnection happens through Jesus. God sent his son Jesus to come to this planet to live as a perfect man who did not deserve any punishment, who died on the cross for our sin, so that 3 days later, after being in the grave, he could come up out of that grave, be resurrected, providing for all of us this new spiritual life that if by faith we'll believe on him and receive him into our lives, we can once again have that relationship with God that we were created for. That we know. Those are facts in the scriptures. And that we can rely on. We don't have to speculate. The most important thing in the world for you or anybody else is, where are you at with your relationship with God through Jesus? I mean, if all of that is true, that Jesus died for us and rose again and offers salvation, if that is true, is there anything that comes near to importance than that? No. And if condemned people who are separated from God and reject Jesus are condemned for eternity, Is there anything more important than for us to get the wonderful news of salvation through Jesus out? No. We don't have to speculate about that. That we know of from the Scriptures. And so let's put our focus there.